Hello, it's Prince Easy. So, this is another one. Uh, and we're going to talk about the digital future, right? And what they are keeping from people's eyes, right? So, I hope I come across. So, all of these big companies, what has been happening since the time that people went into prison, into lockdowns, right? The level of layoffs, if we were to represent it in a graph, it is terrible. Okay, it is terrible. Mm? All of these big companies, if you look at them, so most of them are not like, I'm talking like in the thousands in one soup, right? They are digitizing everything, basically taking the middleman outside, right? Because now using AI, they can cater to the customer directly, to their needs. They don't need the middleman anymore. So the middleman, the people working at the companies, they get, basically they become obsolete, right? Because this piece of software can do everything they need, right? From market research to advertising, to managing stock, to transporting, right? They have these drones that transport stuff now, right? They can work and basically manage a whole warehouse. You know, Amazon, they have this whole situation. It's quite impressive, if I do say so myself. And I think it was even Uber has such a situation where they just employ robots and that's it, a few people. So the digital future is highly dependent upon reliable and cheap access to internet, right? We have reached the dead phone phase, I call it. I've been using mobile phones for a long time. I've used a lot of handsets. And what I can tell you is this, right? I was like, I consumed top of the cream of what the industry can provide in terms of technology. So I have a perspective on how technology has progressed, right? From the past up to now, right? I can see it, I feel it, I understand it deeply. So the internet has become like the number one feature on headsets, right? If you look at most of the apps that people use today, they rely upon the internet except SMS and phone calls, right? But if video calls, uh, that's the internet. Pictures, videos, even even words. Today people prefer to use over the internet. So if you cut off a handset from the internet, it's literally dead. It's no joke. Uh, just envision you yourself listening to this. Just disconnect your phone from the internet and tell me how useful is it. It's not really useful. It's dead, right? It's dead. So then that brings me to the second topic, right? The internet is the interconnection of computers. That's the most important aspect of the digital age, right? Connectivity and computers talking to each other. That's the whole point, right? To better communication. So then comes the question of the most accessible computer. The most accessible computer that does not cost a lot when it comes to laying down the foundation for its infrastructure. The cost in general, right? It's hard to compete against mobile phones today, right? And companies like Samsung coming up with features like the ability to convert your handset into a desktop. It's only going to get better, right? It's all dependent upon the amount of customers. It's all upon the demand, right? The demand, it's all about the demand, you know. And I've also seen how video games in general, right? These are the big factors that push people towards picking devices, have also evolved, you know, making most games online. Most games are literally online. So even the market, everything is moving online. Everything is moving online. Everything, right? So these two factors are important: fast and cheap internet, and of course, everybody being able to connect to this um, interconnectivity of computers, right? And I'm not talking about the whole world, I'm just talking about Zion, right? The world is really hostile right now. It's like a wild animal, highly unpredictable, as we have seen, right? And yet predictable, because we know it's an animal. But if we treat it as not an animal, then it will cost us, right? So that brings me to the super app phenomenon, right? And what I said prior about all of these companies, they are doing two things at the same times, right? They are buying up companies, you know, companies like Sony and you know, Amazon, and you know, like they are buying up small companies that have made a reputation in the digital space. They're basically monopolizing the whole situation, right? They're monopolizing the whole situation. They are buying up companies. We shall talk about this in a couple minutes, right? That people have to like start a whole campaign to establish some sort of pushback towards the monopolization of everything, right? Because they know that is the future. So in order to even have a chance to compete, we have to have at least a single super app, and then everything else will just fall into place, right? What is a super app? Is the app that encompasses all of those things that I have listed there. Okay, and I'm not talking about linking to external apps. No, the app itself, right? So if the internet is accessible and it's fast and reliable, then it's not going to be an issue. But this thing that we are doing now, like a person who has 4 bank accounts has to have 4 apps on their mobile phone, like how do we even ensure safety of the information in there, you know? How? Every app has its own parameters and operates in its own way, and that's That's where we are right now, right? I have to have an app for TRA, I have to have an app for Ajira, I have to have an app for Tadesco and M-Pesa, like what? It's a headache, right? So a super app is necessary. A super app is necessary, right? It's necessary. And then we're gonna have a chance, a chance, okay, a chance. And they are forming their kingdom as we speak. This is why they are monopolizing and laying off people at the masses, right? They are getting people who are agreeing with them to work with them. And people who are not agreeing with them, then they don't agree with them. And that's how they form their little empire, right? So here we are, right? Forming our own empire. And we have to fight to even exist, right? Because part of the role of their empire is not just to build up their empire, but to also consume other empires by any means necessary. So, yeah, we're not gonna get consumed. We're not gonna get consumed. We're gonna destroy whatever they have thing going on over there, right? And that's my job. So yeah, let's move on. So, remember I gave you that example of how they can phrase words. Yeah, this is a fine example, right? An immigrant from North Africa, remember that example? My question is, what did that CIA agent do to stop this conspiracy? Eh? They're just diverting, they're just blaming everything, like they say, deep state, these cabal, these secretive people have done this. Like, are you serious? There's no mention of the devil anywhere. Anywhere. So people keep fighting each other. They only keep fighting in the flesh, while their minds are shackled and their souls are shackled. Yeah? So it's a problem that these people are creating. And these are the people that are going to remain in these platforms after every so-called alternative media is kicked into the curve. Right? That's what they're doing with YouTube, right? Just updating terms of service every day, uh, to the inconvenience even of the consumers, right? Uh, Talking about ad blocking and all of this war that has been going on silently, even with Elon Musk and his fight against those people who manage and basically they are transforming the industry by manipulating the system, you know. They want to change something, they use a guy and a lawsuit to garner public attention, and then it's not about the public's opinion on the matter, but rather their judge, their jury, their conclusion. And people think that they can, I don't know, change Babylon. No, it cannot. Okay, it was meant for destruction. The Babylonian system was meant for destruction. You can't hold back the hand of God. You just can't. Right? So this other issue that has been going up, right? This guy here, you need to like watch his channel to understand what we mean. Okay, so this guy, I don't think he understands it yet, but um, it's the army of the devil. It's the cult. These people are working in a symbiotic manner. Okay, in a symbiotic manner. There's a head, and there's a leg, there's a hand. There are no two heads. No, there's just one head. Two hands, two legs, two eyes. They are working in symbiosis. Right? So all of these habits that we are seeing with these companies, that ties them with these enemies of ours, right? They just steal your data and use it to train artificial intelligence, use it to, they sell it, They have gone so far. They have gone so far, and it has become like common practice now. And that we steal your data so as we can improve service. That's what they say. And if you look at the reality, and it's true, but that's not the only thing they acquire from this collected data. And if that's the case, then why are they, if they are profiting, making data brokers out there making a lot of money, why are these services then, why are people charged for these services? Because they're not being compensated, right? They're not being compensated after their data has been used to better a software, a piece of software. That's what they don't want people to think about. And they will hide the figures as much as they can. Because if you've seen the data, you'll go crazy. Well, we talked about this in the aspect of costumes, how we wear, right? The scripture tends to draw a big line between how men and women should dress. Okay, so this cross-dressing happened slowly. It happened slowly as men and women got closer and closer to dressing alike, and that even influenced behavior, right? Because clothing is like a mask. It lets you be somebody else, right? We see women here, you have short hair and then you put on a wig, right? And then you forget you even have short hair, you get to pretend that you have long hair, right? And that's the effects of costumes, if I could simply phrase it, right? How you dress affects your confidence. Is that true? Yeah, it's true. Then it has much more power than you can actually imagine, right? So women have been robbed, right? Because you don't dress like women, you don't sit like women, right? Women long time ago did not used to like sit around opening up their legs like that, right? Because they had a dress on and they had to like sit in a type of way. But now, since women wear trousers and they can do the leg thing without any sort of, I don't know, indecency, and then they try to switch up to a dress, and then they carry over the same habits. It's ridiculous. I've seen women wear such short dresses that a gust of wind will make them wake and it will make them naked. Other people wear so much short clothing that they have to like literally pull it. Every time they have to like pull it. Like now I'm asking myself, are you out of your mind? Like, didn't you know that it doesn't fit properly when you wore it, or what? I don't want to go to, it's a whole clothing, it's a whole war going on over there. Right? I'm just dipping my pinky into the whole agenda, right? So as you can understand the depth of how far things have gone, right? So here is the fruits of this situation. Right? Here's the fruit of this situation. Hmm? Hmm? Now some might say like these guys have found a cheat code to winning every time, but this is gonna break sports. This is the whole intention of this, is to break sportsmanship, right? Because since back then, men and women did not used to compete in the same, because they are biologically different. But this says men and women are not biologically different. Psychologically, okay? This is a psychological warfare, right? So if your child right now, if he's 1 year old, and she keeps seeing this on TV, men and women in the same ring, brawling, fighting, imagine the amount of supposed, now we call it sexual violence. Yeah? We call it sexual violence now, right? It's not gonna exist no more. There's no sexual violence. Sexual violence only exists because one party is weaker than the other. Okay? Now, if the line has been blurred, then the line has been blurred, my friends. Okay? If the line has been blurred, then the line has been blurred. And trust me, women are going to get screwed. Women are going to get screwed. That's the whole point. And when women are screwed, men are screwed. Directly and proportionally. So we need to watch each other's back and stop fighting each other for nonsense and attention, right? Like this guy explained it so well in this video here. This guy said this: people, women these days want to be praised for being independent. Like what? Independent from what? From men. That's what they say. Independent from men. The tyranny of men. Well, define this independency. I have my own house. I make my own money. I have my own car. I pay for my everything, right? An independent woman. No, you're just a functional adult. There's nothing extraordinary about that, right? There's nothing extraordinary about that. But they make it seem like the environment is so hostile for women to even achieve these things. Like there are men out there just making women poor, just conspiring and sitting in cycles and talking about, okay, let's bankrupt this woman's company. You know, they make it seem like so, but this is fear mongering, right? It's gonna make men seem like villains, and women are gonna be protective of themselves while approaching men. And that's going to affect the whole relationship dynamic over there. At the end of the line, it's going to affect even the productivity of more humans on this earth. Right? The first law we were given is to reproduce and fill up this whole thing. And now we have become the devil by our actions and what we do every day. We have become the devil. We have become the enemy of reproducing and repopulating. When people hear like there are 7 billion on these people on this earth, they say, that's why it's hot these days, right? There's so many people. Overpopulation. Look at the cities. There's so much congestion. This is the type of people we have become. We have become like animals, beasts. But I'm here to stop us in our tracks, put us in the right track by giving perspective of how and what we do every day actually causes ripples across multiple aspects of our lives. Yeah? So, killing games. So what has been happening this year especially, right? And I've been following up very closely, right? So these big companies, these big game studios, right? Like behind PlayStation or behind the Xbox, right? They have been buying up gaming companies and just killing games left, right. Okay, all of these supposed independent studios that had creative freedom, what we call today, right? Creative freedom. Remember the thing I gave you the other time where they had to, in order to be part of this game, you had to comply, right? You had to comply to certain agendas of theirs in order to even be part of the system, right? You had to support their agendas, right? The agendas of Mr. Gates and Economic Forum or UN or whatever, WEF or whatever, right? So it's like everything is falling apart in people's eyes, but they do not understand why, right? They do not understand why. It's a kingdom being formed. Okay, these tiny studios are like tiny kingdoms being consumed by the beast. Literally, they're being consumed by the beast. Then what happens after they monopolize these companies? What do? They fire people. And the games that they made, because they do not get any type of maintenance or updates, they die. And all of those games that had subscriptions, now the subscription is gone. Going back to what my guy here was saying, right? It's outright theft, and they don't care, right? So I don't know what is going on up there, but I have seen only one source covering this whole situation. Yeah. You people need to organize yourself and finish this once and for all. Right? Once and for all, with all the equipment. All the equipment. Because this, I know why you're not attacking them like that, because as usual, their purpose is not to conquer anything. They have nothing. They are just there to cause chaos, right? When you attack them, they go attack and kill people, right? So what you do is divide your forces. One force remains in the village waiting, and the other one follows them there inside. Okay, to cause because the issue is casualties, right? Right now the Congolese are suffering much more casualties than the enemy, right? Because the enemy can do this hit and run tactics, and they can come from anywhere, right? They can come from anywhere. So you need a lot of men to stay in every village, and if a person is far away, then they need to move, at least for a short period of the operation. Right, I've been following up this Congolese, what is going on over there, right? And I see a good thing that is happening, a powerful thing is happening over there, right? Tribes are coming in together to identify their true enemy, the true enemy of their nation, and that's important, right? Now, I don't know what will happen in the future, but they seem to be with the president. They like the president, right? They even, I don't know, low key talk that they they do not want you to attack Rwanda or whatever, and I don't know, they talk of kidnapping. I don't know. Crazy stuff like that. But basically they're just threatening you, and I understand why, and Rwanda have to think about it, right? You have to think about it really. What will happen when a whole situation break out over there, right? What happens when a whole situation breaks out over there? Because the Congo affects Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda. It affects these three countries, even Tanzania, right? But they know it would be a mistake to try to approach and attack our borders, right? Their whole situation will end. So they need to keep the situation as it is, right? Where there are more Congolese dying than them. It benefits them. It benefits them. They can keep exploiting and exploiting and exploiting. But if your primary job is to keep people alive, and the secondary job is to attack, just a quota to attack. Because they'll say, they'll claim payback, that's what they say, is payback. Just a quota of good people go in there in those forests. Surgically, not just walking around looking for people, no, surgically. Using choppers and drones and locating these people and surgically attacking them. The only retaliation is doing what? The only way they can weaken the Congolese situation and your situation is the death of people. And that's a repeating theme I've been saying over and over, over and over. After you attack them, they go into a village, they kill people, they burn it, just to demoralize you. Okay, so you need to fight smarter, right? And the other aspect is their target. What are they protecting? Okay, sometimes you have a hard work chasing these people across the forest, but it's a pointless race, right? Every army has a base. Every operation has a point, and their point there is to continue the exploitation. So you need to secure what they are exploiting as another angle to attack them, right? What they're exploiting. So secure tiny mines, and everywhere that they are taking out resources, attack. Don't just go in the forest walking around following them. So it's futile like that. It's futile. The farther you go into the forest, they cycle back, they attack people, you have to come back now. That's not going to work. Right? So use these people, use the militia. You need to increase your numbers significantly in order for this division to work. Okay, so you need to get with these villages and tribes that are against it together, give them training, give them weapons, go to war. Congo is important, very important. I don't know what my guy he has discovered here, but yeah, space effects. My guy say here you're robbing you're robbing younger candidates, huh? It's insane, yeah. So yeah, that's a little information I had to share with you, man. So yeah, love you, Prince Easy, signing out. Bye.